What's going on, YouTube? This is Daniel Rucker with Truth Table. Welcome to the table. Today, I want to discuss something that I believe needs to be touched on and needs to be expounded upon. Now, yesterday's video, the ending of the video, I said I was going to discuss the selfishness of women. Well, I'm going to table that. I'm going to go ahead and do a broadcast, on that at a later date. But the reason why I segued into what I'm talking about today is because through my journey in YouTube, and the reason why I'm doing this, as well as others who I believe have some of the similar agendas, is that we're really trying to give people an opportunity to receive information, take the information, process the information, and apply the information. I, along with others, I believe, Mr. Kevin Samuels, Fresh and Fit, Donovan Sharp, Coach Greg Adams, and so on, in this space, are oftentimes met with a lot of pushback from certain listeners because it is assumed that we are out to offend people and hurt feelings. Now, what I've learned, because this is my personality in real life, I'm like this, not because the camera's on. Anyone who knows me will tell you, this is Daniel all the time, every day, without restraint, right? But one of the things that I've heard as a common theme is the fact that it's not so much the information, but it's how it's said. So I'm gonna talk about that. And before I get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. It goes ahead and helps with the YouTube algorithm so that information like this can continue to get out. Because I do it for you guys. I really want individuals to be met with information that I believe is going to be beneficial for your overall life. So before I get started, you guys know what I do on this channel. You know what it is. I get into the kitchen to serve up these meals because we get cooking over here. And so that's what I'm going to do. Now, before I pull this apart and get started, I took a clip from a pretty good movie, in my opinion, that I grew up watching. Some may have never heard of it. Some may have never seen it. But this is an opportunity to watch a clip. The clip is about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, so bear with me. And please watch the video and the clip in its entirety. The main reason is because it's going to make it easier for you to understand how I'm going to pull my message together today in regards to how things are said compared to what's being said and what's the agenda behind things that are being said. So, without further ado.
Outrage. My boy's no criminal. He and those children belong in school, not back out on the street.
You're a fascist, Clark.
Our kids don't deserve this. Some of those children are smart. They're just discouraged about what chances they got out there.
Sit down.
What kind of jobs they got waiting for them. Now what kind of chance do they have?
He don't care. They his kid.
He insulted the black football coach.
Now sit
The man's gone crazy. He's declared war on his own
May I
people.
remind you, Miss Barrett, that Mr. Clark was nice enough to come to this emergency meeting after a very trying day.
That's what he gets paid for.
I think we owe him a chance to respond. Oh,
They say one bad apple spoils the bunch. Well, what about 300? Rotten to the core. Now, you're right, Mrs. Barrett. This is a war. It's a war to save 2,700 other students, most of whom don't have the basic skills to pass the state exam. Now, if you want to help us, fine. Sit down with your kids and make them study at night. Don't get your families off welfare.
Dare you talk to these
Give
people
our
about
children some pride. Let them get their priorities straight. When Dr. Napier came to me offering this job, I saw the lightning flash. I heard the thunder roll. I felt breakers crashing, swamping my soul.
We are not in church, Mr. Clark.
I fell down on my knees and I cried, my God, forsaken me. And the Lord said, Joe, you know damn good. No, I mean this. More than you realize. You're no earthly good at all unless you take this opportunity and do whatever you have to. And he didn't say, Joe, be polite. Do whatever you have to transform and transmogrify this school into a special place where the hearts and souls and minds of the young can rise, where they can grow tall and blossom out from under the shadows of the past, where the minds of the young are set free. And I gave my word to God. And that's why I threw those bastards out. And that's all I'm going to say.
Now, for those who don't know what that video is called, that movie is called Lean on Me. I believe it was made back in like 1988, 1989. It's an old movie, but it's relative. And the reason why it's relative, because of just that clip, if you were watching it and digesting it the way I watched it and digested it, Morgan Freeman is the actor, as I'm sure most of you know, but if you don't, Morgan Freeman. Anyway, there was a situation that happened. He pretty much is the principal of the movie, and he comes in to restructure everything because everything's going bad. I will save you the entire explanation about that movie. If you find time, pull it up on Amazon or even on YouTube, I believe, and watch it. It's a great movie. But what I liked about his character is his character is kind of like people like myself. Obviously, he's older, but let me explain. Oftentimes now, we have people listening to our content, and I have women as well as men, which is quite shocking, but we'll touch on that, who hear what is being said. People like Kevin Samuels, people like myself, like I said, Fresh and Fit, and other individuals that are sharing some of this content about relative truths, things that need to be held as a standard for the expansion and progression of our society and for each individual. And the problem is that we have women and we have men both collectively battling the tone. Like, I didn't know that we had tone rangers out here who are policing how people say stuff. And for me, that's quite shocking. One, I grew up in a household with a very militant father. And then I also went to the military. But before even that, I played sports, pretty much every sport you can think of. And I never remember my coach, talking to me, hey, Daniel, next time, you go ahead and you give it a good effort. You go ahead and try to just push just a little harder, because we got to win this game. I never remember that tone. I don't remember that tone. The tone I remember was aggressive. It was in your face. It was like, Rucker, get your shit together. Like, that was what it was. And even in the pep talk, prior to leaving the locker room or getting out on the field or whatever sport it was met with instruction, it was met with passion, it was met with intensity. And the reason behind that is, I believe, when men are speaking, we are designed. God gave us the ability to empower and instruct. A man's job is to live life, assess life, learn, instruct. Everything from a man starts and then ends, meaning we start and end absolutely every equation. And I think that was by design. So when you're talking about living life and you're talking about a society as a collective, you're talking about households, you're talking about infrastructure, you're talking about companies, you're talking about policy. I believe that behind the mindset, a lot of times, is foreseeing what's occurring, what has happened in the past, and what we want to prevent from happening in the future. That is to the demise of society and individuals in a collective. Because men are always concerned about the overall, about the collective, about the vision as a whole. And that's what every party involved, right? The problem is that you got a society that is so dang sensitive. And now we have people policing how things need to be said. Well, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. No, that's BS. It's how you say it. How you say it makes the difference on if that mess is gonna stick, if we're gonna be effective. Oftentimes people try to sit here, especially women, and some men now, are trying to convince people that they would listen if things were soft-spoken. So, I'll give you an example. I have yet to meet young men who had a mother that was soft-spoken, passive, and, how would I say, delivered her message with an emotional tone, and that young man didn't have trouble, or that young man wasn't problematic. That young man was centered and strong. I've yet to meet one. On the flip side, I've met tons of young men who, and I'm using it as a father not being there in this example, so bear with me. I've met tons of young men that had a mother who was more domineering, who was more assertive, who was more in his face and in his crap about stuff. And that young man had a lot more of a responsive, structured conditioning of discipline than the young man that had the mother who was passive. Now, take that same example and put a man into the equation, and it's even more of a solidarity, to that young man, because when a man is involved in the equation, men don't show up to, coddle the situation. We're not designed for that. Men are not designed to come in and rockabye baby you when it comes to dealing with crap. And I think the unfortunate part is that we live in a society now that Mr. Samuels talks about a lot. First world problems, first world country. So we're living a life that is so privileged, and that's everyone, men and women, people collectively, are living a life that is so privileged to where you don't have to hunt for your food. You don't have to worry about how the electricity is going on. You don't have to worry about lighting. Why? Because electricity runs. So all you do is flick a switch. Things work. You don't have to worry about where your feces or where your bodily waste is going. All of this stuff over decades, over centuries, has been manufactured, created to where now we have current day life, where if you're hungry, you can jump on an app and send food to your door. Pull up in a drive-through. Go to Starbucks if you want a cup of coffee. You don't even have to make your own coffee. You don't have to go hit a tree. You don't have to boil no water. You want a cup of coffee, it comes out in a minute or two, and you're about your day. And the problem with that is that it's created such a desensitized component of what life was when we first were introduced to the world. See, what we see now is not what it was. And I'm blessed to be alive now. I'm grateful. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I would be thrilled to go hunting buffaloes or, bow and arrowing coyotes or whatever it took to go ahead and source my food. So I'm grateful. But with the modern change, the genealogy of a man, the biology of a man, the auxiliary of a man has not changed. It is still the same thing. So we're not tackling water buffaloes. We're not, striking down coyotes. We're not doing that stuff. But we are building a world that still requires the same amount of common practice. You grow, you learn, you acquire disciplines, you build skill sets, then you invest in the world, and you leave the world in a better place than you met it. And the problem is that the message is there. You have people like myself and others in this space that are doing their best to instruct the very men and women on these truths. But then you have these sensitive freaking people who want to cry and complain about how it's supposed to be delivered. You know, like, well, we appreciate what you're saying, Daniel. We appreciate the fact that you take time out of your day or your life to invest in those individuals that you don't know, people that you've never met, but you care so much that you want to see people be better. But the tone, can you just say it a little nicer? Can you just be a little bit more soft-spoken? Maybe, just maybe, we'll hear you if you just sweeten it up a little bit. You know, just tie a little bow on it. No, that's not how we do things. Myself and those who are going to stand in this ownership of understanding how men do it, this is how it's done. If it's not for you, get off the channel. But I promise you, if you keep living your life to where you avoid positive confrontation, people like myself who want to hold you accountable, then you are going to be the one left behind. You're going to be the one suffering in your life. See, I've been aware of a lot of things for a very, very, very long time. And I'm grateful for the many opportunities and experiences that I've had, you know, because it's allowed for me to move in the world a lot different. And what I don't want to see is I don't want to see individuals have to wait until they're 30 or 35 or 50 to start getting these basic things in life. It's a life wasted. It is a life defeated because you're living in a program instead of living from a place that is actually real. Coaches, pastors, teachers, people like Morgan Freeman's character, their tone when trying to change the world, their approach when trying to change the world is not one that is going to be effective unless it is like a shock to the system, unless it is direct, unless it is stern. That is what we do. That is a part of the man's position. When a man is in charge, when a man is leading, a part of his instruction, a part of his care, a part of his love is direct, is strong, is assertive. It is met with a certain type of delivery that makes and forces you to have to think, forces you to have to think back, sit back, question, calculate, formulate, and figure out, was that the best decision? Could I may have done that different? Am I living at my best? Am I maximizing my potential? And it always leaves you with a deposit. It motivates you to push yourself to the next level. I don't know one person that landed at the state of uber success without a man along the way that held them accountable. When they thought they were good, you could be better. When they thought they were better, you could be great. That's what we do. And we got this world of people, these tone police, I'm gonna call them, who have made it their job now to start going out into the YouTube space and going out into the podcast space to try to monitor what is the tone, instead of promoting the information that is beneficial for individuals. If a person is not coming on here and telling you to kill yourself or bring harm to yourself, then I would encourage you to give the information an opportunity. Take what you hear, take what is being said, and try to find out how to apply it. See, and that's what men do. We leave you with information and instruction. If you take the information, you take the instruction, and you apply it, and if it works, which it should, now you're in a position of now benefiting from the information that someone, man, gave you. It is one of the most beautiful gifts you can receive because it'll impact your life. So, that's what I wanted to talk about today. It may have came across like a little bit of a rant, and that wasn't my intent. My intent was to try to get people to start thinking from a different premise and opening up a different set of ears, the mental ears, to understand that if you're concerned about how it sounds only, then you have more work to do in yourself than others. Because the way it sounds shouldn't be the deterrent. The deterrent should be if the information is leading you in a position that is detrimental to your progress. And if that's not the case, then I would encourage you to lean into it. That's right, lean into it and figure out if the information can work for you in your life. So this is Daniel Rucker sliding out the kitchen. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today for the, I would say 20 minutes or so. My clock is not going, but I'm assuming about 20 minutes or so. I appreciate it. And yeah, you get a chance, go ahead and check out that movie, Lean on Me. It's a great movie. If you have not watched it, you won't be disappointed. Has some powerful messages in there. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Go ahead and again, like I said, hit the like button, hit the little notification bell if you want to be informed of when I upload new content, as I will be doing on a consistent basis. And go ahead and share the information. I appreciate it. So thank you very much. You guys have a good day. Be blessed. I'm out.